Hey guys, Rosie here. Welcome to another Friday. This week's topic is testosterone, which I think is a really fascinating topic personally, especially since for the last 5 months I've sort of been going through the observational process. Okay, I don't have the questions in front of me, but I remembered a bunch of them, so I have my notes. So forgive me if I looked in. Alright. First, sort of just the facts of the situation. Jack has been on T for 5 months, somewhere like give or take, but close. He goes to his endocrinologist is Dr. Margaret Ferry. The last name is Ferry. In Massachusetts. She's really, really trans friendly. She's very sensitive to trans issues. She's really good. She's also not too conservative with like dosage and stuff. Apparently there's another guy in Northampton, Massachusetts, but according to Jack, he's really not sensitive to trans issues. He makes statements like girls with your condition. He's really, really conservative with doses, etc. So Jack recommends Margaret Ferry. He is on tea that is suspended in sesame oil. He gets it from Strohecker's Pharmacy in Oregon, which I think is kind of cool because I'm from Oregon. But they compound their own testosterone, and so it's a lot cheaper than most places. I think one of the other women on the channel at one point mentioned it. But it's a good pharmacy. It's much cheaper than a lot of places. And when he first got his prescription, it was like really big concern for him because tea can be pretty expensive, and depending on who you're talking to and where you're getting the tea from, he was really, really worried about it because he was getting prices back from people that he really couldn't pay. But then he found Strohecker's, and it's a lot cheaper, so it's recommended. The process that he went through to get his testosterone was he was in therapy for 6 months. At the end of that time, his therapist gave him a note, which he brought to the endocrinologist. He also had to get blood work done to make sure that he was healthy before going on T. And then he got his prescription and he went on T. He's not sure whose policies those are, but he thinks that the 6 months of therapy is fairly common overall. Okay, let's see. I think I'll talk about changes that we've experienced first. So I'm not going to talk about the different types of testosterone because those have been covered in mega detail by all the other women. So the changes we've seen, the earliest, hands down, was his voice. 2 days maybe, or a day after he started taking tea, he got a sore throat, and we're still not sure if it had something to do with the tea, but it was really different from anything he'd ever felt. It was like a raspiness, and within a week and a half, his voice had already dropped a little bit. It continued to drop significantly every week and a half to 2 weeks from there on out. Evidently, if you watch his videos, it's pretty low now. If you watch his pre-T video and compare it to his, video number 44, I think, it's pretty hilarious, you can see. He started getting body hair fairly quickly. He started gaining muscle fast, and I've watched a lot of first year on T videos on YouTube, and Jack went through I think Jack went through, kind of a normal because it's different for everyone, but first year on T with muscle wise within a couple months. I went away for a week in the spring, and I came back and his forearms probably had gained a quarter of their diameter. it was pretty ridiculous. So, muscle gain really fast. Recently, he started slimming down. He's been losing fat, and you can see the definition in the muscle a lot more. His clitoris is elongated fairly quickly. He has noticed an increase in acne. Bothers him a lot. Me a lot less. Right away, as everyone said, he got extremely hungry, and he ate like 6 meals a day. Significant meals. We would eat a huge meal, and he would profess to being totally full, like stuffed, and then an hour later he'd be like, Rosie, can we stop and get something to eat? So, and obviously his libido skyrocketed, although it was already pretty way up in the sky. I mean, he's always had like a really intense libido, but when he went on T, it was a lot more urgent, I guess. Although I don't know, because he went on T like shortly after the beginning of our sexual relationship, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much it affects how often he'd want to have sex, but I do know that it affects his eagerness while having sex. He's much more prone to orgasm and, I don't know, energetic, I guess. Okay, let's see. I was going to talk about the good and bad things. I guess the only problem that I've experienced is that his libido is so high sometimes I feel like I can't really keep up. And, you know, he never pushes me to have sex or anything, but definitely that is a tension that I feel sometimes. Good things is that his body image is changing. His body's starting to fit the way he feels inside, and he's way more outgoing now. He's able to handle situations better. He is way more confident, and just, you know, his bearing is so much more confident. And I personally love his muscles because I like muscular people. Okay. Okay, the last question that I wanted to address was, does a trans guy need T to be a man? I think that this is a really, really complicated question. I've studied anthropology in school, and I definitely think like an anthropologist, and I definitely think about cultural systems when I come across questions like this. And, I mean, a trans guy is a man. He's a trans guy. But I think it's a very complicated issue, because some trans guys can pass without T. I mean, just hands down. But most trans guys don't necessarily, depending on where they live, obviously, and people's expectations of sexuality and gender, you know, following gender lines, etc. But if a guy is not passing and society doesn't see him as a man, doubts are bound to arise. Not in his own being a man, but I mean, if society denies something about you, it's really, really hard to feel comfortable in that part of your identity. And it's really hard to flourish in that part of your identity. And so I think that that is, you know, really a much more complicated issue than just saying a trans man is a man. He is, absolutely. But whether or not he can become, you know, comfortable and flourish in that identity has so much more to do. It has so much to do with how society sees him, and often testosterone can really help make society see him more as like a masculine figure, I guess. So, coming to the end of my time, can't believe how fast it flies, but I'll see you all next week, and I'm looking forward to our new topic. All right, bye.